So you're looking for a compact, low-profile keyboard with mechanical switches for a satisfying typing experience, and you want full QMK VIA compatibility for customization, and you want it to have a number pad. I don't think that exists. Oh wait, Keychron made the K13 Pro. Before we dive in, I want to mention that Keychron sent me the K13 Pro for the purpose of making this review. However, I was not paid to make this video, and Keychron will not have a chance to see it before it's published. While I love rotating through a variety of different keyboards for my 9-to-5 job and my creative work, when I'm working my 9-to-5 job, I do use a number pad. So I'm typically using either a 96%, an 1800, or a 100% layout, of course, unless I'm testing a specific keyboard for a review. So when I saw the K13 Pro from Keychron with this very interesting layout, it definitely piqued my interest. Now, a while ago, I bought myself the K3 Pro, actually back when it first came out, and I got this to pair with my MacBook Pro because of all of the functionality that's baked into it. All of the same features basically as the K13 Pro here are found in the K3 Pro. We basically just have a different layout. So let's do a quick rundown of all of the specs of the K13 Pro, and then we'll talk pros and cons. The K13 Pro is an 80% ANSI layout with 90 keys, including a number pad. The number pad replaces the keys found in the K1 Pro, which has an 87-key 80% layout. The K13 Pro is not currently available in an ISO layout. The top frame is aluminum and the bottom is ABS. Keycaps are low-profile double-shot PBT and are not shined-through. Dimensions of the K13 Pro are 13.62 inches by 4.66 inches, with a total height of 0.95 inches at the back, with the keycaps included. There are 2 positioned feet, which provide a total of 3 typing angles, 3.37, 4.2, and 6.7 degrees. Switch options include Gateron Low Profile 2.0 red or brown, and you can choose soldered or hot swappable options. Connectivity includes 3 Bluetooth 5.1 connections and wired USB-C. There is an OS switch for changing between Windows and Mac layouts, and it also includes both Windows and Mac modifier keycaps. RGBs are north-facing, and you can select a white-only or full RGB option. With full RGB, there are 22 different modes. You can switch between them by pressing the Function and Q keys or Function and Tab to turn them on or off. The battery is 2000 mAh with an expected life of up to 100 hours with the backlighting off and 33 hours with the backlighting on the lowest setting. The K13 Pro is QMK and VIA compatible for remapping, adding macros and layers, and controlling the lighting. The price of the K13 Pro ranges from $94 for the white backlight non-hot swappable option up to $114 for the RGB hot swappable model. All right, so let's start off by talking about the pros that I have observed with the K13 Pro. And it is gonna have a lot of things in common as far as pros with the K3 Pro. So let me just put these sort of side by side here to give you a quick comparison. So the K3 Pro is a 75% layout, and the K13 Pro is an 80% layout with sort of a modified top right corner to have this numpad. The closest relative of the K13 Pro is actually the K1 Pro, which is also an 80% layout. It just doesn't have the numpad, has more of the traditional keys that come in an 80% layout. So the difference between the K3 Pro, the K1 Pro, and the K13 Pro, besides the numpad, of course, is that you don't have a few keys like page up, page down, home, and end. You won't find those on the K13 Pro because those sort of got eaten up by the space here for the numpad. You do, however, still have a delete key right to the top left of your arrow keys. All right, so in terms of the pros that it has in common with the K3 Pro that I have used for quite a while now, the typing feel and sound with the Gateron low profile switches and the PBT low profile keycaps is quite nice. Now, sometimes I do find a little bit of stabilizer rattle with Keychron's stabilized keys on their low profile keyboards. However, in general, that's something that I've been able to take care of just by sort of relubing them or cleaning them up and then relubing them myself without really much further modification than that. This K13 Pro that I have sounds pretty good. There's maybe just a little touch of of rattle there in the spacebar, but otherwise the stabilized keys all sound good. Now, while the typing sound and feel is good, it depends on what you're looking for, of course, because sound and feel is a subjective thing. I personally still give the edge to the Newfie Air series keyboards when it comes to sound and feel. They have a little bit thicker PBT keycaps and a little bit more of a bezel around the key area, whereas all of the K Pro low-profile keyboards from Keychron are a floating key design. Just to give you a quick comparison there, here's a quick sample of my Newfie Air 96, which is, of course, a 96% layout, but it also has Gateron Low Profile 2.0 brown switches in it compared to the K13 Pro. All right, let's keep going with more pros. I am gonna say that the number pad is a pro. I mean, how could I not? You've got a keyboard this compact that you still have that number pad. There's a minor con though, or a trade-off with that number pad in this compact format, but we'll talk about that in a second. Ultimately, I have to give credit to Keychron for giving us a numpad in a layout that is very usable and compact. Another pro, of course, would be the QMK and VIA compatibility with the remapping that you can do here, even though you are missing just a couple of those keys that typically you could remap to do something else, like page up, page down, home, and end. You still have a full row of function keys here. You can fully remap, you can have layers, you can add macros, and having that capability means you can mirror, at least mostly mirror, whatever you have done to your primary keyboard that stays put and doesn't travel with you. And if you're gonna travel with this, then you can sort of just recreate all of that same layout, macros, everything, and have that in your travel keyboard as well, which is always a plus. And lastly, I will say I had a positive experience with the battery life on the K13 Pro. Now, the K3 Pro has a 1550 milliamp hour battery, if I'm not mistaken. I got good battery life out of the K3 Pro. However, over Bluetooth, it's not spectacular, even with the backlighting off. The K13 Pro has a 2000 milliamp hour battery in it, so it's not, gigantic or anything, but although it's stated to be about the same as the K3 Pro, seems like maybe it lasts a touch longer, especially if you're not using your backlighting. All right, so let's talk about a few cons of the K13 Pro now. Now I mentioned, or I alluded to, a minor con or a trade-off with the number pad, so let's hit that first. It is a good thing to have a number pad in a low-profile, compact, portable keyboard, and that's why I mentioned that as a pro. But the con or the trade-off is that it's not a traditional number pad layout. You basically just have this squished number pad in the top right corner, and you don't have your plus sign or your enter key to the right of the numbers that you're used to having. You also don't have your plus, minus, and multiply keys up at the top like you would normally have either. You have to remember that once you hit a number, you need to move to your left to hit the enter key instead of to the right. If you need a number pad, still better to have one than not have one, but I'm calling that a minor con because that could lead to some errors as you're getting used to it. Another con for me is the lack of a 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection option. And to me, that's a shame because it gives you an additional wireless option. If you want to use that option with, your main computer, then sort of reserve Bluetooth for your mobile devices like tablet and phone, that kind of thing. It's also generally a little more stable than Bluetooth and lower latency, so I like to see it whenever possible. And one other minor con that I have, which you may or may not care about, it's the lighting. I kind of said something similar about the K3 Pro as well. The lighting is just kind of underwhelming. Now, it doesn't come with shine-through keycaps, but if you get the full RGB model, you're getting, 20 modes of RGB. They don't get super bright, and so without shine-through keycaps, you don't really get to see all that much of it. Again, you may or may not care about that. If you don't care about it at all and don't use RGB lighting ever, then you might want to just go for the white backlighting only model. Of course, I don't know if that model is hot swappable or not. Be sure to check all of the different options on Keychron's website to make sure you're getting exactly what you need. So who is the K13 Pro best for? Well, if you need to have that number pad, if it's just not an option not to have one, but you also are looking for something relatively compact and portable that maybe you could bring back and forth to the office or just, traveling, I think the K13 Pro is actually a pretty nice fit for that exact scenario. So if that's you, then I would put the K13 Pro on my list to consider because it checks all of those boxes off while also being fully customizable with QMK and VIA compatibility. And I also think the pricing of the K13 Pro is pretty fair. The only two things that I think would make it a slightly better value at that price point would be a 2.4 gigahertz connection option as well as maybe slightly better battery life. But otherwise, I think the pricing is fair. The K13 Pro is available directly from Keychron. I'll link to that in the description. I don't believe it's available on Amazon. If it becomes available on Amazon as well, I will also drop an Amazon link to the K13 Pro in the description as well, but you can definitely get it directly from Keychron. Well, that'll do it for my review of the K13 Pro. Let me know in the comments if you found it helpful or if you have questions about the K13 Pro and if you have one and how you're liking it. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button if you did find it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to the Semi Pro Tech and Gear channel. Thanks everybody, see you next time.